Hi, I'm Kelly with Bradley Kellie, and our mission is to help you share your story, your testimony with everyone you meet, and to share his story to the ends of the earth. Christ gave us parables to share, and we have our story, our testimony that we are not meant to keep to ourselves. We are meant to be the light in a dark world and to show hope and encourage others. We hope that you enjoy these testimonies that we are highlighting on this channel and this platform, and we invite you to join us in sharing yours. Make a comment or reach out to us. We would love to show you. Enjoy these next few testimonies and have a blessed day.
Hi, everyone. Today we have the blessing of speaking and meeting Angelique. And we are going to talk about her testimony and beauty from ashes, and just that we know that as believers, we are not promised that we will not have suffering. But I know that I can't imagine my life without Christ and having his a rock and a foundation to get me through my journey. And so we are here today to talk to Angelique and about how she's been refined, gone through the fire, and is using that as her foundation to help reach other people. So Angelique, welcome. Thank you so much. And let's just dive in. I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe like how you grew up, and did you grow up in the church? I can't wait to hear all about your story.
Okay, yes. I'm 25 right now. I live in Texas, and I grew up in I had a real hard childhood. I didn't grow up in church. I didn't know Jesus growing up. I was adopted when I was 2 years old, and the house that I was adopted into was verbally and physically abusive. So that was really hard to just grasp as a young child. I always felt alone and rejected, like nobody really cared, like unwanted and unworthy. And it led me into like a dark path in my life, just making bad decisions and turning to drugs and alcohol like at a young age of 14, and just being out of the house, in the streets at 14 years old, just making bad decisions. So it was really difficult growing up.
14, so I have three teenagers in my house. And so when you say that, like my heart is heavy. And I don't think that people realize like how readily available things that the enemy puts into your life, how easy access you have, especially if you don't have that foundation or those people in your life that are constant. I mean constantly redirecting, you know. And I know that adoption, when I've talked to people, it is such a blessing. Um, and But then there's a lot of things that you have to overcome, and it sounds like you didn't have a very supportive, nurturing environment. Um, and now you are a mom, so I'm sure we'll get into that later. So you're right now we're at the age of 14. Tell me about the next couple of years.
So from 14 to 20, I was just heavily in addiction and like just trying to numb the pain, like using sex and alcohol and drugs, and just lost, really. Not have no direction in life. I didn't know, I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like I didn't understand what the point of being alive was, which is
Yeah.
led me into like suicidal thoughts, and just I was just lost for a long time, for 7 years of my life.
I hear that a lot. Like you just said, I didn't know what the purpose of life was. And again, I'm coming from like a mom standpoint, where I hear, people, even my own kids have asked, like, what's the purpose of life, mom? And I think you like living in the world that we live in and being surrounded by all these different things, you're constantly getting caught by the shiny light. And really when as you mature and you start cutting through the layers of life, and everything points down to your purpose being to share the love of Christ with others. Um, my son asked me that one day, so I stopped and I turned around and I was like, oh, this is going to be a long conversation. Like, where did that come from? And that was kind of like during the heart of COVID and all these memes on gender and just a lot of the things that are being pushed and marketed towards kids. And there's a lot of confusion. So yeah, I think when you come to the realization, like what your purpose is to share the love of Christ and share the good news. It sounds so simple, but it's not. It's a long journey just to get to that point.
Yeah. Especially when you're going through it, you're so focused on the problems, you're so focused on like what you're going through, like you don't see the hope and you don't see like the out of getting out of it. Like you don't see yourself getting out of it. So
Right, right.
it's hard while you're going through it.
And sometimes it's hard to find joy at that age, like if you're not involved in sports or if you're not involved in like a particular group. I mean, like you go to school, you come home, you go to school, you come home, and then you don't really see like the joy that you have in life. Is that kind of how you felt?
Yeah, well, I feel like family is just so important. Like that's the foundation of everything. Like if you don't have that, like, because I grew up not having that family support, not having anybody to turn to. Like when you're
Yeah.
feeling alone, like I mean, who do you talk to? Like it's just the feeling alone that just hurts so bad.
Yeah, no. Mm. And so now we're about 20 years old. um, and so how did things change from like 20 to 25?
So when I was 20, I had finally like hit what I call my rock bottom. Like I had no more like fight in me. Like I was just done. Like I had at this point already like tried to commit suicide like a couple of times, and like I would just continuously wake up the next morning and I'm just like what, why, like why am I still here? Like, but it wasn't until later on that I found out that it was for a purpose. Like it's to share, like you said, to share Christ and the good news and stuff like that. But when I was 20 years old, I had sat in a room by myself and I was just like, God, like if you're real, like I need your help. Like I cannot do this anymore. Like I'm just so tired of hurting like my entire life. This is all that I've experienced. Like I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
And so I fell asleep. I had this little devotional book, and like I didn't know Christ, but I would read that like just I had just like the mustard seed hope, and just a little bit like that things could change, that like I could be better or I could do better. And I went to sleep that night and I woke up to like a knock at my door, and at this time I was on probation and I was on the run for not like complying and stuff.
Yeah.
And like for 8 months, nothing had ever happened. Like I was on the run, like just doing, my own thing. And that next morning, the cops came and knocked on my door and woke me up. And they were like, "Oh, we have a warrant out for your arrest." And I didn't fight it or anything. I went and I
Yeah.
complied, and I sat in there for 30 days. And a woman that I shared a cell with, she shared, or she gave me a Bible because she was leaving the day that I had came in. And on the
Oh,
Bible, like it said rescued, not arrested. And I still have that Bible to this day.
oh my gosh. What was
Yeah.
her name? Do you know her? I mean, just her first name?
I don't remember. I
Yeah,
don't
but you know
remember.
what? One day, like when you're trying to think of something, but like one day it might just come to you while you're driving or something. But bless her. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so while I was in there, I began reading some of it, and like God just spoke to me so powerfully. And when I got released from there, like I just had like a whole new mindset. Like I didn't like the things that I used to like. Like I was just like a completely new person. So I sat in there for 30 days and then I was released. And then after that, like my life had just completely turned around. I got a job, a house, I had two beautiful girls, and I got myself into college, and I'm finishing up my last year right now for my
You are?
bachelor's.
Oh,
Yes. So,
what are
and
you
then I'm also
studying?
taking like psychology.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yeah. And then I'm also like taking classes for school of ministry, just deepening my relationship with God to be able to share. Because I sat the very first job that I had when I got out was at a college, and I was just like in the cafeteria, and I was like cooking for these college kids, and like I was like, man, that should be me. Like I just always had the thought in my mind, like that should be me, like out there. And so I sat in my car one day and I just like prayed, and I was like God, what's my purpose? Like I don't feel like it's to be working food service for the rest of my life. And
Right.
I just sat there, and then when he told me like it's to share everything that you've been through to help people who are going through similar situations as you. And that's why I got into school, and I'm working on that path right now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, that book is amazing. I'm so glad. I mean, what a gift. Like you'll just keep that forever. Um, and I mean, maybe one day you'll write a book about 30 days, you know.
This
Um,
definitely came across my mind. I want to write a book. I've been working on like starting a podcast also,
yeah.
and yeah, just trying to be led by the Holy Spirit and see like what it is that He wants me to do.
I think that there's just such a hunger out there, especially in your age range, because I don't know how old you were when COVID started. I'd have to do the math there, but I mean, like that's such like a very formative age, like for your life trajectory. And I mean, I just really think that your story is, really powerful and resonate because I once worked at an art college and that was kind of the age range and that age is can be difficult. Like you have all this pressure of knowing what you need to do for the rest of your life and you really need that mentor, a mentor there for like professionally and like your purpose and bringing it all together. Um well, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Um and if you could go back and tell your younger self um like some advice or I guess what I'm trying to ask is if you could tell your younger self some advice, what would that be? And then if you could make a change in your life, like um what kind of person or what kind of like organization or group what do you think would have helped you in school? Would it have been like knowing like Young Life existed or like a Christian group? I don't know if you grew up in an area that had a church. What two things do you think that would have helped you during those, high school years? Like, what advice would you give yourself? And then was there an organization that you wished you would have known about? Like, I did not know about Young Life and Campus Crusade when I was in high school and in college, and I wish I would have.
Yeah, so for the first question, some advice that I would give my younger self would be just to keep on going. Like I said, like the struggles just are temporary, and I just wish that I would have turned to God sooner because I would have saved myself from a lot of just heartache and pain. But
Right.
I mean everything happened for a reason. Like God uses everything for His good and His glory, and I believe that like I wouldn't be who I am today if I wouldn't have experienced all that I had experienced, and then my testimony wouldn't be as impactful as it is if I wouldn't have experienced that stuff. So
Right.
uh, I think the most important thing is just to keep going and just trust in God.
Do you,
Leave it in His.
was there an organization that you didn't know about that you think would have been helpful? Like, do you
I
know if
think
there was like a Christian group at your high school or was there a church,
I didn't go to like traditional high school. Like
Yeah,
I had to do like a lot of online stuff, but
yeah,
I think just being involved in the church, just surrounding yourself with other believers is just so important because like in the Bible it says that like if one of us falls, if we have a friend, then he could be there to lift us up and stuff. And just having a community, it's not we're not like here to be alone,
right.
and
Yeah.
we need community and we need people that are gonna lift us up and help us. And just I think the church is just like it's a big part of my life right now. Like I serve and like I go to classes over there. I go to the connect groups. I'm really involved, and it's like because I don't have that family background, and I don't have a lot of people like that has become my family.
Right. And I do feel like when I graduated from college and I, was in the working world, I feel like the people that I was in, it was called single life. So like you're out of college, but you're not married, and you're dating. And so, but I feel like those are the people that I went to college with, like those are the people that I grew up with. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I think friends and fellowship are like-minded friends. We call them, to our kids, we call them got your back friends. Like they'll hold you accountable, they'll help redirect, and then they're a listening ear. They can go and biblically, go through things and walk through those together. So and then how do you serve in your church now?
Just wherever they need me,
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
I always wish I could sing, but maybe that'll be like my assignment in heaven, because I have a horrible singing voice. um but anyway, well, I don't, I know that your story and your testimony would really resonate with a lot of people that are in depression. I unfortunately just keep hearing about that with, I think COVID put a big, it had a big impact on depression in that age range, because um, depression and suicidal tendencies are not, racist in any way. They're all, overall demographics. And sometimes people are really hurting and you have no idea how much they're hurting, which is why got your back friends, because people don't really know what you're feeling on the inside. So, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. Did you have any other things that you wanted to share? Or is there a verse that kind of gives you that your go-to verse?
Yeah, I wrote them down. There's a couple of them. So, like I said, Romans 8:28, which is God will use everything for his good. And then also Romans 3:23, which is God uses flawed and broken people. And
That reminds me of
Hebrew,
the cover of the book that you just showed me.
yeah. Well, I mean, all throughout scripture, as you
Yeah.
read it, you see like God came for the broken people. And that's how his like all the honor and glory is brought to him, like through the changes that he brings through us. And then Ephesians 3, 20 through 21. Now he who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us, to him be the glory in the church by Jesus Christ to all generations forever and ever. That one just really resonates with me a lot because like I mean like I sat there and asked like I just want to be happy, and I would never in that moment have pictured like how much he would have delivered me from. So I'm just grateful.
Why do I keep seeing these titles of books for you going by as you're talking? Delivered, 30 days, um, I can do all things. Yeah. I mean, it's often you'll hear people when they tell their testimony, it happened for a reason. Not that you would wish your journey on somebody else, but that you can see the purpose and that gives you comfort. Um, yeah. I'm quiet because I am just thinking about all that you said and absorbing that. So you're very mature for being your age. And I'm so glad that you can see the beauty and come out of all that. Um, I love those verses. I really see you writing a book.
Maybe one day I'll be praying about that.
Yeah, and sharing that. Well, I'm so excited. I mean, I feel like I'm a mom saying this to you, but I'm just so proud of you. And you've just come so far. And, I think sometimes people have the wrong impression of Christians that, when you become a Christian, you don't have suffering, and that is not true. But as a Christian, like I always say, I just don't know how people that don't know Christ can do life.
You don't have that hope. Like it's so hard.
Right. We have we do some blog posts and different things, and in our jewelry that we curate and we design, one of them is called Anchored in Christ. And so that, I guess when you're talking, that's what I'm thinking of, like the anchor can weigh you down, or it can be a lifeline, to get pulled up out of the darkness. So Well, thank you so much, Angelique. I really appreciate it. And I love those verses. So we will put those verses down below in the comments so that people can use those verses. And then as you, if you ever grow into, writing a book or a ministry or social media, then we will have those links down below too, so that you can connect with other people. And starting a podcast, then we will add that link to you as you grow.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you having me on here to share my testimony also.
Absolutely.
You enjoyed hearing that testimony. Remember, if you would like to share yours, just reach out to us. We know that we are called to go and seek the one out of the 99 that is lost. That is mentioned in Matthew and in Luke. So go and seek the one that is lost. And thank you for joining us today.